Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I gotta admit something. I got a problem when it comes to this old truck. This thing, I get motivation to work on it, and then for whatever reason, I just quit. Part of it's because of that transmission. I know that all the little things that I do between now and then aren't gonna make much difference until I get that transmission pulled out and get that thing fixed up. Yeah, today I got a little bit of motivation for it because I got coming up here, it's just a local show. It's called the Log Cabin Days. It's here in Indianola. I try and sneak something over there every year, and this thing is good enough to make that drive. So what we're gonna do today is just a little bit of cleanup, a little bit of fixing on it, and just getting it ready overall to go to that show. Now, it's nothing big for a show, but it is a good time, and lots of friends over there, lots of people I know. Yeah, hopefully we'll get this thing ready to go, and then maybe in an upcoming video we'll do a little bit of show coverage for that thing. Like I said, not a huge show, don't expect much out of it, but there is some cool cars and some cool guys, and maybe we'll get to talk to some of them as well. Coming back under the hood, you guys have seen under here again before. I did the brake master cylinder on it, got the brakes working in one of the last videos. This morning I got this thing fired up and I got a leak on the old carburetor there, so I may try and pull that front bowl off and get that accelerator pump fixed up. That's what I think is leaking there. We'll get a better look once the air cleaner's off, but again, probably just do a little cleanup under here. This thing's pretty dirty just from sitting. It doesn't get a whole lot of love. Now, one of the first things I'm probably going to try and tackle here, you guys have seen this all before pretty much. I've done walk-arounds of all this, but actually right back here. Now, you can see these two bolt holes here. I used to have a mount for my old Schwinn bike. Now, that's been in previous videos. You'll see it again here in this one. But I used to have a mount right there for that bike, and it just sits perfect right over the top of the notch here. Now, eventually I do have another parts bed for this that I want to cut the bed floor section out and, patch all this up and build a little tunnel over it, put some wheel wells back in it. Just, again, haven't got around to it. Maybe put a little shine on the old air tank there. And other than that, yeah, not much to do back here. Probably a little cleanup. The old white wall's looking a little rough. The whole truck's a little dirty. It sits there right on my alley and just gets crap splashed all over it. The other side's a lot worse. Just gets junk splashed all over it from sitting there. So if I get some time, I may hit the car wash with it just to get it cleaned up. But really, I want to get some of the other stuff done first. Well, as you can see, I went real scientific there. Just plopped it down, marked a few holes. It's nothing too major. I already did the hard work when I figured out where it needed to be the first time, so as long as it's close, it should be fine. You can see there the mount for it. All it is just a little hoop with another little hoop, and the front tire sits down inside that and just uses its own leverage to hold itself up. The one I had before, you can see there, the plate has 4 holes in it. The one I had before only had 2 holes, and the big problem with that thing is you'd get to taking a turn one way or the other, and that thing would just bow the floor and let the whole bike tip. So the goal here is to get that thing mounted, obviously with the 4 holes, but I'm going to do a little bracing underneath the bed. You can see this thing is not mounted to anything. It is some flimsy stuff right now, and that's what we're going to try and get rid of. I'm going to make a couple little mounts to stiffen this thing up to the frame, and then I'm also going to try and put some flat strap or something across the floor there to try and make that a little more rigid, be able to hold up. So that's the first goal of the day, and I got to run to the store and go get some stuff. Now I know you're already thinking to yourself, you got this garage, what the hell are you doing working in the driveway? Well, problem is twofold. I got my other 2 projects torn apart in the garage, so I can't very well move those out right now. And then the other problem is this old gal's too long to even fit in my garage. Honestly, can't shut the garage door. I could get it in there and work on it with the garage door open, but it just doesn't make any sense to try and juggle all these vehicles around just to get this thing in to weld a few things. Next up, we're going to get this bed strengthened up so I can get that mount for the bike mounted up. Went and picked up a piece of flat strap along with some hardwares, a few other things, and yeah, we're going to dive into this thing and burn some metal. I'm going to show you guys a simple way to make some mounts for stuff. I've used it for stuff like shock mounts and stuff as well. You'll actually see some on the back of this truck. Really simple way to do it. Just grabbed a scrap of pipe that I had sitting underneath my welder and went to the hardware store, picked up nut and bolt and washer. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go measure how long I need this piece of pipe to be and cut it down to length for my mount. I'm going to weld this straight to the frame, and then it's going to stand up off there. And I'm going to just round the edges off this nut a little bit so it'll drop down inside here. And then once I get it in there, I'll drill a few holes through the piece of pipe to be able to weld that in there. And then I'll also do a little weld on the top to finish it off, keep from getting any water or anything in there, and also just to hold it that little bit more, make it a little nicer looking. So we'll get going on that first so we can figure out where we need to mount that piece of flat strap underneath there to hold everything else together. Alright, got the pieces cut, got the nuts ground down. You can see it's just a nice tight fit in there. Stay. Anyway, nice tight fit in there. And then next what we'll do is drill some holes in this and plug weld those so we get a nice fit and finish on this nut. Got all the rotten part cut away. That stuff was super flimsy. You could see when I was cutting it, it was just peeling up and falling off, and other parts of the truck falling off. There's not a lot of good metal left on this thing, unfortunately, which is why it was originally going to go to the crusher. But I can save it. I've done it before. So we're going to beef this thing up a little bit. Like I said, got that edge cut, got all those holes drilled. I'm going to lay that piece of flat strap under there and just plug weld it in there. I may give it a few extra zaps from the bottom, but otherwise, then we're about ready to get the mounts put in and weld those to the frame, and this thing should be a lot stronger. Well, we're getting close. It is hot out. I am sweating to death here. A little side note for you guys. If anybody's in the market for a welder, I know, people ask recommendations all the time. I can't recommend this thing enough. It's the old Hobart Handler 187. I don't know if they still make this thing, but this thing literally fell out of the back of my truck and got drugged down the interstate for probably 2 or 3 miles before I could get pulled over, and was just dangling by the hose for the gas. And luckily I was able to pop the case back together, fix the fitting for the gas, and this thing, that was probably 12, 13 years ago, still works like a champ. So, little carnage. But yeah, definitely done everything I've ever needed it to do. Good old welder. Anyway, we'll get in here and take a peek. You can see what I was talking about with standing this off and then having that bolt in there. It's all hidden. It just looks like a little stub of pipe. Pretty clean little setup. Obviously the rest of the truck isn't all that clean, but at least that looks nice. I do got to get in on the back side there and finish welding them, but otherwise a little touch-up paint here, and we're looking pretty good. I can start getting that getting the rest of the holes finished up here and get that mount done. Alright, well, holes are drilled, everything's ready to go. I had to run to the store again and get some more hardware. I didn't take into account that the last time I had this thing bolted in, it was just through the one layer of floor. Now I'm going through the 2 layers, and it's the raised portion of the rib. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and slide some washers in there so it doesn't crush that bit. And I got some longer bolts to throw that in, so we'll get after it here. There we go. It's mounted. It's way more solid than it used to be. This thing, when I took corners, the whole thing would lean. It would fall over on me and eventually broke the original mount. So this is way sturdier. It's going to hold up a lot better. And on the plus side, I gained back some body mounts for the bed. So this thing is going to be more sturdy, hopefully. Yeah. All around pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. That's basically the only movement in that is just in the bike, in the wheel flexing in the mount, but otherwise that's going to be perfect to go down the road. I'll bring you in for a little bit closer look here. If you haven't noticed already, this bike was pretty much put together with somewhat of the intent of matching this truck. It's hard to do on a bike, but you can see basically the same brown, patina, rust, all that, and then got to have the blue front forks to match. So I always thought this was pretty neat looking, especially in the back of this truck. It just fits really well. Alright guys, well, I think that'll do it for today. I think we did pretty good. Got the old bike mounted here, and that's been something I've been missing for a while. It's nice to have it at shows and stuff. I can jump on it and go cruise around, you know, do whatever. It's just a fun old thing. It kind of just matches the truck, and I've always thought that was neat. So anyway, if you made it this far, definitely do me a favor, go down, hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel to follow along for all my projects, whatever I may get into. I enjoy having you guys follow along with me, and it really does mean a lot that you're leaving likes and comments and subscribing to the channel. We got a lot of new folks subscribing to the channel, and it really means the world. We're having a lot of fun with this, and we'll keep going. But anyway, that ought to do it for today. I'll put this thing back in its hole. We'll catch you next time. Thanks.